And our top story, the enemy within. Now, for all that we now know about the malintentions of the Chinese Communist government under their Mao wannabe President Xi, the fact that any company or any government would give them more inroads than they've already made in our society is just plain insanity. But for some reason, the Biden administration seems to have more concerns about Elon Musk and Twitter than they do about Apple's role, for example, in China, or the even bigger threat from TikTok. We saw a bit of this dichotomy in an exchange between Martha MacCallum and administration spokesman John Kirby last week. Listen.
We were just told the other day that the White House is keeping an eye on Elon Musk and Twitter and not call Apple out for helping the Chinese government to suppress their own people's ability to communicate.
Apple, if this is a decision that they're making, then they should have to speak to that. But we can't, and we aren't in the business of telling private companies how to execute their initiatives.
So they can't tell Apple what to do about adjusting software to accommodate China's secret police, but they're threatening to regulate Twitter out of business. More on the government's role with Twitter in just a moment. But as for TikTok, there is probably not a single company in the world that poses a greater cyber threat to the U.S. That's because the app is ubiquitous here and in practically every country in the world. If you or someone in your family is not using it, well, someone's probably sent you a TikTok video that you've opened up once or twice. The degree to which the Chinese government can use this app as a window into our entire lives online is, we're told by virtually all cyber experts, just frightening. Some even say it's too late, that China already has used TikTok to bury itself deep into our information system like a sleeping virus, just waiting for the perfect moment to attack the unwitting host. But that doesn't mean it's too late to take the threat more seriously. And while the Biden administration may not be doing so, a lot of state governments are taking matters into their own hands. One of those states is Indiana, whose attorney general is suing TikTok, making the perfectly plausible claim that the app has been collecting reams of sensitive data on consumers for years and serving up inappropriate videos to children. That Attorney General, Todd Rokita, joins us now. Attorney General, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Before we get into Indiana and your particular lawsuit, I just want to ask if you're shocked that the federal government doesn't seem to be taking TikTok more seriously.
Well, it's just another similar play in their playbook. I mean, every week they seem to not take anything seriously, whether it's our border or China or everything else. And I'm sure there's more than just negligence or incompetence at the bottom of it. But and unfortunately for Americans, we're going to have to keep digging until we get there. Meanwhile, like you said, the states are taking some action.
Well, let's talk about your lawsuit. It's broken up into two parts, as I mentioned. The first part is dealing with children and the inappropriate information, the videos, et cetera, that they're getting online. Explain what your lawsuit would do.
Well, it's hard enough. Thanks, Dave. It's hard enough to raise kids nowadays. Kathy and I have two of them and two boys. And without the Chinese Communist Party feeding them, dumping garbage into their heads. And that's exactly what it is. The TikTok in China, by the way, has a youth blinder on it that keeps sexual content, drug-related content away from their children.
Yes.
Yet none of that's available to us. In fact, we're using Indiana's deceptive consumer sales practice statute to go after them because when you go to get TikTok on Apple or something, it says it's good for ages 12 and up, and it certainly is not. That's a big, fat lie.
So you think that they are specifically trying to mess up our kids' life, our society, even more than it already is, by the way. We're doing pretty well about that on our own, but right. That this is a specific intention of the communist government.
It's certainly deceptive. I think it's intentional. I think that it's disingenuous. And yeah, they're polluting our society, our kids' minds faster than we can.
All right, let's get to the second part now, because data collection is of great concern for so many different reasons, for our personal finance, for national security, et cetera. How does your lawsuit address that?
Well, TikTok and its parent company, which makes billions of dollars a year, hundreds of billions of dollars in profit a year, are really controlled, even if you look at the Chinese constitution itself, controlled by the Chinese Communist Party out of Beijing. And they are collecting data from all of us. If you have TikTok on your phone or anywhere else, get it off. Get it off your kids, get it off yours, because they are collecting that data, and they can, in a sense. So we're again using Indiana's deceptive consumer sales statutes to say, no, you're deceiving Americans, you're deceiving Hoosiers into believing that this data is not tracked or kept, yet we know that it is from evidence we've collected, but also if you really dig down into the legalities of what they're saying and how they can share it, it's a trap.
But you can't ban the app. I mean, people we're concerned about banning apps right now in terms of Twitter and what they might do. What Apple was apparently at some point thinking of doing with their app. It's more about stopping state workers from using the app on their state phones and devices. Correct?
Well, no, it's even more than that. I am saying that Indiana consumers have been deceived by this company, by what they're showing our children, by the information they're taking, and I intend to enjoin them from that app being used in the state of Indiana.
So how can you do that, by the way? I mean, you know, these waves that allow us to view on our iPhones or whatever device we're using go across state lines. They don't recognize state lines. How can you, as Attorney General, prevent that app from getting through to kids or
it certainly is,
or anybody?
Like many of our situations, it's David versus Goliath. But I suspect other states are going to join. Number one, they're working on in their own way to do it. Every state statute's different, of course. I imagine the distributors of this app will be involved sooner or later.
So you're talking about Apple.
And the rest. Apple, there's Google, there's a lot going on here. This is the first inning of at least a 9-inning ball game. So the best thing you can do, the best thing your viewers can do is get rid of that app now. Do it voluntarily. And start taking a stand. That's something every one of us can do right now against the Chinese government and to protect our kids.
Yeah, you know, I got to say, AG, frankly, there's been so much information about how dangerous having this app on your phone is. It's sort of buyer beware at this point. I just wonder, those people who still have it on their iPhone or whatever device they have, I mean, you know, the heck with them. I mean, if you're dumb enough to do that right now, I can't see the government changing your attitude.
Well, we could start suing them out of existence and doing that. And remember, by the age of 12 or 13, if your kids have TikTok, they're being taught how to be strippers. They're being taught sexual deviance. I can name some things, some practices that I didn't even know of.
You know what, AJ? Forgive me for interrupting because we're running out of time. But so are the schools, AG. I mean, we have schools in America that are teaching their kids that.
Yeah.
So it's a big social problem.
Well, the states are fighting on that too. So this
I know
is not
they
just,
are. Well, and witness what happened in Virginia, and they're making a lot of progress here. AG Todd Rokita, good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.